The Solo Show is brought to you, as always, by Victor Naraki Realtor, serving Disney and the greater Orlando area with celebratingflorida.com and disneyatyourdoorstep.com. Coming up on The Solo Show.
We got tassels on the kids' bicycle handlebars. That's not very Star Wars-y to me. Is that a red flag? I don't know. What do we think?
Well, you guys, we got to remember, it's a big universe out there, the Star Wars universe. Not every planet's going to either be Tatooine or Coruscant or Naboo or something like that. There's so many planets that we haven't even seen, and this is kind of a fresh twist on it. And I don't mind seeing that at this point.
Stan has a full house in the Solo Studios as he welcomes Kris Banas, Patrick Radecker, and Scott Clark to discuss the upcoming premiere of Skeleton Crew. That's coming up right now on The Solo Show.
Hello, I'm Realtor Victor Naraki, and at one time I had created a search for you online for homes near Disney World. I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to my brand new website. Same name, new functionality, celebratingflorida.com. If you're still looking for property near Disney World, please take a look at the website. If it's a future wish, visit disneyatyourdoorstep.com for all my social media links. Thank you, and hopefully we will talk soon.
Tomorrow's test will set the course of your entire future.
Don't you ever want to do anything exciting? Like what? What if we could go anywhere we want in the whole galaxy? A real adventure. No more pretend. I found something buried in the woods. What do you think it is? I think it's a lost Jedi temple. Hello? Be careful where you step.
It's dangerous out there in space. Trust no one.
You're a Jedi.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Solo Show. I am Stan Solo as always, and we got a series starting right now, the Skeleton Crew Roundtable discussions. We're going to be kind of talking about every episode a few days after they land to give us a chance to kind of mull them over and find out what we want to talk about. And we're going to have maybe people popping in, people popping out throughout the different episodes. But for today, we got our prediction show. Or I don't know, what would you call it?
Preparation show, background
Preparation
show, prediction.
Preparations, yeah. So we're going to start off with ladies first. Food Fairy Kris from the Grand Circle Tour podcast. How are you today, Kris? And are you excited for Skeleton Crew?
I'm good. And you know what? Yeah, I am. The previews have had me intrigued a little bit. And to be perfectly honest, I love Jude Law, so having him in this has my interest piqued just a little bit more. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And also joining us, it won't be a roundtable discussion without Jedi Scott. Scott, how are you today, and what are your thoughts on Skeleton Crew?
I'm doing good. You know, I'm looking forward to it. Like Kris said, I'm a big Jude Law fan. So this kind of piqued my interest when they announced it a while back. So I'm looking forward to it. See what it brings.
I know you like Star Wars to be lots of action, lots of ships, lots of explosions. That's your type of Star Wars. I don't know if this is going to be that type of Star Wars. Are you worried about that at all?
No, I think from the preview, I've only watched maybe a couple previews of this, and I didn't do too much research going into the show, and it almost reminds me of like Goonies to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's
so I'm looking forward to the adventure, something a little bit different.
Yep.
That's it. This is going to be a little bit different, I got a feeling.
Yep.
And then from the Solo Show live shows, my good friend from Texas, Patrick.
Hey,
what are your
how's it going?
thoughts? And welcome to the roundtable.
Well, thank you. I am very excited for it. I'm just excited for more Star Wars. Anytime there's something new that's being added to the lore, I'm just excited. I try not to watch trailers. You know that. But I've watched a little bit about this. I've watched some of the background stuff. I'm really excited. I think this is going to be, like Scott said, a little bit different, but very much the same in that it's going to remind us that Star Wars is for kids. Yes, it can be serious, but it's also for kids.
See, the way they're talking about this one is they're saying it's about kids, but not for kids, is kind of what they're saying. But it can be for kids, I guess. I think it's going to be a good family show.
I don't think you can really make something with as many kids as this ensemble cast is without making it for kids. Otherwise, then it would like really be inappropriate in some way.
Yeah, I think kids are probably their target audience, and probably a lot of that has to do with trying to develop new Star Wars fans in a younger audience.
Yeah, try to expand the generations in it, because what's been out lately hasn't been on par.
Yeah. So before we get into the show, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to be, Patrick and I, we do the Solo Show live show on Monday nights. We're putting that on hold because the Solo Show traditionally is a bi-weekly audio podcast. And I put a lot of time and effort into both the live show and into the roundtable discussions. And I'm just too busy, especially during the holidays, during the month of December, to be doing a live show and a roundtable discussion every week. So we're going to put the live shows on hold, and we're just going to be doing the roundtable discussions for the next 7-8 weeks while Skeleton Crew airs. So if you're tuning in for the live show, I'm sorry. We hope to be back after Skeleton Crew is done. How do we feel at the moment about Star Wars? Now, we just came off of Acolyte. It hasn't had the best reviews by a lot of the Star Wars fans, myself included. I know some people really liked. Chris, you liked it.
I mean, I'm not going to say that I was over the moon about it, but it was an acceptable show. There's other ones that I liked a lot better, but I wouldn't call it the bottom of the barrel, but I thought it was exciting. There was a really good elements in it.
It did have some really good elements, but I mean, I thought they couldn't get much worse than Boba Fett. The book of Boba Fett, and they proved me wrong.
So, what would you rate this then? If Chris, you don't say this is the bottom of the barrel, what was the bottom of the barrel to you then?
Boba Fett.
Okay.
I mean, it had its pluses, but to me, the way that the whole thing went, there was way more with all that flashback stuff constantly. It kind of drove me nuts a little bit. So.
Yeah, I thought the book of Boba Fett was essentially Mandalorian season 2.5.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
they did flashbacks for no reason in both Acolyte and Book of Boba Fett. I found like it didn't help the story along. I mean, like. I don't want to make this the Acolyte roundtable, but they start off with Acolyte by killing off one of the Jedis that we're really excited about seeing. I'm supposed to care about this Jedi?
And that's what that right there kind of turned me off on it. With losing Carrie-Anne Moss right there in that first episode. I want to think I maybe watched 3 episodes and I just kind of lost interest in it. I wasn't vested into it.
Yeah. Like
I was in some of these other Star Wars series. I kind of just lost interest. And to me, being a big Star Wars fan, that was it was weird for me to be doing that. I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. How about you, Patrick?
So I really liked Acolyte. However, I'm probably, I don't want to say deeper in or more into the current Disney like lore, but I've read almost every one of the current Disney novels. And so what they've been trying to do in all of the books, I haven't read all the comics, but they've kind of been trying to do the same thing in all of them. And so when I watched Acolyte, I went in kind of knowing a little bit about what they were trying to do with it. Just some people, for example, didn't like how in Acolyte they showed how the Jedi were flawed. However, there was a book that came out in July of last year that showed exactly how the Jedi were flawed in very similar ways. And it took place in things that we had seen in the saga movies. And this was just like a different vantage point, a book. Everything was happening around what we already knew, but it was showing all of those same flaws. So when I watched The Acolyte, I knew all of this going in, and I was like, oh man, this is really fun to see it in this way. However, I will say, should you have to know all of that to make it a good show? No. Yeah. And I think that was probably the biggest flaw, that someone like me who knows all of this about what they've been trying to do can watch it and go, yeah, this is awesome. But you have to know all of that.
Yeah. So
I get that.
So I think we're all excited going into this one. I know a lot of people watched that first trailer that came out and it kind of looked like urban America. And a lot of people are like, whoa, wait a minute here. This isn't Star Wars. The directors, I could be wrong, but I think there's 5 different directors for the 8 episodes.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different directors for 8 episodes.
For 8 episodes. Okay.
So John Watts directed episode 1 and episode 8. David Lowery directs episodes 2 and 3. The Daniels direct episode 4. Jake Schreier, I think is how you say his name, directs episode 5. Bryce Dallas Howard directs episode 6. Lee Isaac Chung is 7.
So that just tells me that episode 6 is going to be the best episode.
Well, I mean, did you see Everyone Everywhere All at Once?
Unfortunately, yeah.
You didn't like it?
I did not like it.
Oh, I loved it. I about lost it when he says, in any life, in any place, I would love to just do taxes with you. I was like, I
would look at my watch and my phone more than I did the TV on that one. Scott shaking his head. Scott, did you watch it?
No, I did. So it's like over my head.
Yeah. So the directors all got together and they did like a YouTube video. It's fairly long, but I took a little clip of the video and they kind of talk about designing Skeleton Crew and what kind of goes into it. So I just want to play this little. It's a 35-second clip of designing Skeleton Crew
in a more safe planet. It was an opportunity to design a new thing. Like the kids' bikes was a really good place to start, because I think when you're designing a speeder bike, it looks really cool.
Yeah. Like, so how do you make Wim's bike be kind of corny?
Like, come back. We need to bring in more Huffy. And
there's like little tassels on it.
We put tassels on it, and there's tassels in space.
Are there tassels in space? These are the kinds of questions.
That was the crazy thing.
You'd always call Dave Filoni and be like, are there tassels?
Yeah, can we do that? and the scariest thing he would say is, well, there are now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got tassels on the kids' bicycle handlebars. That's not very Star Wars-y to me. Is that a red flag? I don't know. What do we think?
Well, we got to remember, it's a big universe out there, the Star Wars universe. Not every planet's going to either be Tatooine or Coruscant or Naboo or something like that. There's so many planets that we haven't even seen, and this is kind of a fresh twist on it. And I don't mind seeing that at this point, different perspectives. Do I want to see them talk a little bit about the Empire or the New Republic? I want to hear a little bit about that, but I like the fresh take on this.
Yeah. Well, I think this planet with the residential housing, we're only going to see that in the first episode when they blast off into space and get lost.
Yeah.
And the last episode when they make it home.
I got a question though. Is that supposed to be Earth or some planet like it? Because it looks just like California.
Well, if you look, go ahead, Patrick.
Oh, I was going to say, as far as we know, we don't know the official location of any of the places they go. Like they said, I think it's just one of those safer places. It's maybe just it doesn't have any resources that the Empire would have wanted and therefore would have been. It's just a colony planet. Who knows?
It almost seems like it's a forgotten planet, because there is in one of the trailers, they go to purchase something and they use the old Imperial credits, and the guy goes, or Republic credits rather.
Public, yeah.
Yeah, Republic credits, and the guy that owns the restaurant or whatever goes, Republic credits? Where did you get these from? Like, who are you kids, and where are you from? It's almost like, so they're still using Republic credits back on that planet. That's all they had on them.
Could it be the Outer Rim or something like that? A forgotten planet?
Yeah, forgotten planet. That doesn't have hyperspace technology, because it seems like the kids don't know anything about hyperspace either.
Could it be the colony planet that the New Republic takes all of the refugees of Alderaan, all of the other planets that the Empire has ruined, and this is its suburb planet of just chill out, guys, we got you? Could be.
Yeah.
Don't
know.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about the whole concept of everything being kind of new to us too. What do we know so far about this series? Is there any official announcements that we? I mean, let's not go into rumors and whatnot. I know that they said it has an Albalin, whatever ET. Can I pronounce it?
Amblin.
Amblin. Yeah, feel to it. They keep repeating that.
Well, I'll start with timeline. Kris mentioned timeline. So, Return of the Jedi was 4 ABY. So that's 4 years after the Battle of Yavin is when the Death Star 2 is blown up. The Mandalorian takes place about 9 ABY. That's the about time. So about 5 years after that. And officially, as far as we know, that is the same timeline that we are in right now. So we are in the Mando timeline of 9 ABY.
So yeah, within a year or two, I would think, because Mando's been going on for a couple seasons. So they could have been 9, 10, 11, right around that time frame.
Somewhere.
So who is, at this point in time, the New Republic is kind of just starting up again. Like the Stormtroopers are kind of disbanded and they're all over different factions, I guess, almost.
Yes. I'm going to look up the timeline of a specific movie. So you guys continue.
The other thing that we know is that the main characters are 4 10-year-olds, which is kind of something we've never really seen. I mean, we've seen kids in Star Wars, and for the most, I really liked young Leia in Kenobi. I thought she was phenomenal.
Yeah.
For the most part, kids in Star Wars don't generally do it for me. I think this is going to be fun, though. Kris?
Yeah, I really
go ahead, Kris.
No, I was just agreeing with Stan. I think it's going to be very interesting as this progresses.
And when we have seen kids, it's only been, I think, essentially maybe the Skywalker saga kids with Anakin and Leia. And we've seen Luke as a little kid in the Obi-Wan series with young Leia, but other than that, we don't generally see kids in it.
Yeah, young Boba didn't do too much for me, to be honest.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
So what I was looking up was when the timeline of the novel Bloodline takes place, and that novel is essentially Leia's fall out of grace when people found out who her father was. And that takes place in 28 ABY. So Leia is still just a kid. Well, no. She's probably in her married.
I would say early 40s at that point.
She's at this point she's got like a 2-year-old. Ooh.
Yeah.
Could we see?
Because this is 19 years past the Mando universe, essentially.
Well, that's Bloodline.
Yeah.
But I'm talking in the show that we're going to see. We could have a Leia. That's a possibility. That we're stretching here. We're stretching.
Yeah.
We could essentially have everybody in this at this point from the original cast.
Or how about a young Ben Solo?
He would be a kid at this point.
Yeah, he'd be a kid at this age. Yeah.
Yeah. Would he? He could be about 9, 8 years old now. No, you say Leia would have a 2-year-old, but if they got married right after Jedi,
I would say he'd probably be around. If I had to guess, I would say he's probably 4 or 5 years old at that point.
Maybe
6 years old. Maybe.
Yeah. It's these kids that turns Ben Solo to the dark side. It turns.
I would. So here's a prediction. Like if we were doing a bingo card, here's something that's like hopes and wishes on my bingo card. The Halcyon. It exists right now.
Of course,
it does.
That. Okay, let's get into predictions. What type of predictions do we see? Are we going to see a chopper in this series?
I don't know about Chopper, but I think we will definitely see Mando and or Grogu.
Oh, okay. So Patrick is putting that out there. Mando or Grogu and or Mando.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about you, Scott? Any predictions that we can go back to at the end and see how far off we were?
I don't know. That's kind of hard. I know this is eventually supposed to tie into Mando and Grogu and Ahsoka series. So, yeah, if I had to bet, maybe they have a run-in with Mando or somewhere towards the end.
Okay.
If I had to guess.
Was Mando's first ship there, the one that got blown up to a billion pieces, and the only thing left was the spear? What was the name of that ship again? Is that
the Razor Crest?
Is the Razor Crest still around? Can we see the Razor Crest in dock or something?
No, because I think this is going to tie in towards the later series of it.
So it'd be after.
Yeah.
Maybe his Naboo fighter.
Yeah, the Naboo starfighter.
Yeah, maybe we'll see that parked somewhere.
Yeah.
How about you, Chris?
Or maybe we'll see the Ghost.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm wondering, not really a prediction, but curiosity, is besides possibly Ahsoka, will we see any other Jedi come into play?
So you mean other than like apparently
other than the guy who Jude Law is playing?
Yeah. Now, do we think he's going to be a Jedi, or do we know he's going to be a Jedi? I mean, like in the trailer, he makes that key float back to the jail cell.
I think that's smoke and mirrors. I think they're trying to play a little trick on you. I don't think he's a Jedi.
I agree. I don't think he's a Jedi.
I also do not think he's a Jedi.
Yeah.
I know too much. Not actual behind the scenes stuff, but like at this time, there's a class of character called the Saja, which were on the Star Cruiser, and they are descended from the Guardians of the Wills. And the Guardians of the Wills were like the Chirrut Imwe. I'm one with the Force is with me. I'm one with the Force. Those guys, right? So not necessarily Jedi, but you know, they're not bad guys, right? Jude Law's not going to be a bad guy, but I don't think he's a Jedi.
I think Jude Law is going to start off being actually a bad guy. I think his intent with these kids is not good to start off with, but he's going to turn.
Yeah, I almost get the impression like he might be a con artist.
Yeah, like a pirate.
In the beginning. Exactly. Then maybe towards the end, he becomes sentimental towards these kids and befriends them and probably has a vested interest at that point with them.
That's what I'm thinking. Chris, you're nodding?
Makes sense.
Well,
we shall see, I guess.
That I hope they do, but because it's Disney, I don't think they're going to market Galaxy's Edge. But they could. They could put Hondo. This is pirates.
Hondo, we could see.
That was one of the things I was wondering.
I could see him coming into that.
Yeah, yeah.
But that would be marketing for Galaxy's Edge because he's there.
Yeah, but he was also part of like the series before Galaxy's Edge. He's not a Galaxy's Edge only character.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. It's just it would be one of those like this is the same timeline. So
yeah.
Anyway,
how about BB-8 zipping by at one point?
What is the sequel?
No, I don't think so. I think to guess, I would think they're trying to step away from that.
Mm-hmm.
That part of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
I think we'll see the squadron that has Dave Filoni and I can't remember the name of the
Kim Sung-yi.
Paul.
Lee?
Is it Paul? No, it's not Kim.
Paul Sung-Lee. Yeah.
Yeah. Those, I think that's Trapper Wolf and Carson Teva. I got the names.
There you go.
I think those guys will probably show up at some point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
I could see that happening, especially like Dave Filoni having his little cameo appearance in it.
Mm-hmm. That's actually a really good prediction. I think
it's
going to be fun to go back at the end of the series and see how wrong we were.
Yeah, we haven't been too right on these prediction shows.
No, we're We're never right.
Our imaginations run wild.
I do have a good prediction though, and I think this one's going to be hold true. That for somebody who's not a big Star Wars fan, that hasn't really watched basically anything, I think they could watch this series and understand what's going on without too much trouble. I got a feeling this would be a really good jumping on point for a non-Star Wars fan. What do you think?
I think in the beginning, yes, but I think as you get into it, you're going to probably want to know a little bit of the backstory of at least the Mando universe a little bit, because I think some of that's going to come play into it.
Okay.
So it might get them to, if someone's coming in brand new, fresh into this, I think that might get them into trying to watch some of that.
It could very well lead to that for sure.
To figure out some of these little Easter eggs that are going to be tied into it.
And the reason I'm kind of thinking this is because this past Halloween, I put out a post on my Facebook page, and I said, hey, people, this Halloween, keep track of how many Star Wars characters come to your door. And I think out of all my friends, one person replied back that they got one. Patrick saying he didn't get any. I didn't get any.
Do I count?
We don't get trick-or-treaters anyway, so.
Do I count? Like, I dressed up as one, so do I count?
But the kids are not into Star Wars like we were when we were kids.
Mm-hmm. The only specifically for children bits of Star Wars that are out there are the really, really little kids, the Young Jedi Adventures, which is in the same animation style as the kids Spider-Man and Marvel stuff. And then they've got young adult novels, but they're for your tweens who are already reading stuff that's kind of more advanced, because I don't need to get into it, but you have to have read some of the other novels to even understand what's going on in these. Yeah. So anyway.
So I think a kid that's like 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old can jump into the series from the first episode and get right into it. And I think that this series could really breed the next generation of Star Wars fans. And this will 15, 20 years from now, this is going to be, Skeleton Crew was my Star Wars. Kind of how, for myself, A New Hope was my Star Wars, and Empire Strikes Backwards. I think that's my prediction on this series, is that, and it's going to be a while before we get to know about it, but I think this could bring new Star Wars fans, young Star Wars fans, to the table.
I hope so. But if that's the case, then they would definitely need to have more lightsabers. Because that is part of Star Wars, right? Like,
yeah.
When you go to a Star Wars event, how do people show that it's a Star Wars event other than the clothes that they're wearing, which could be, I don't know, any sci-fi thing?
Yeah, it's generally a lightsaber.
It's the lightsaber. Yep. So that's where Andor, I think, might be, and Rogue One might be the outliers in that everyone loves them across the board. It's up at people's top in their ratings, right? However, there's not a single mention of the Force. There's no lightsabers. I think they're going to mix them in on this. That's why Jude Law, he might be, even though I'm predicting he's not a Jedi. There's got to be something. Luke's got to show up. Ahsoka's got to show up. Mando's got to have the darksaber at some point. Oh, he already lost that in the last season, though, right?
Yeah.
Sabine might show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're predicting there'll be lightsabers in this?
I hope so.
I mean, in the trailer, the kid's playing a video game where the guy has lightsaber. So there's the kids know about lightsabers, they know about the Force, they know about the Jedi. Right. So that's got to pay off for it.
I mean, how would they, when they find this thing, how would they know even to say it's the Lost Jedi Temple?
Yeah,
that's fair enough. Yeah. How on the nose with an Amblin reference do you think it would be, or like a Goonies reference? As you can see, my subtitle is "Hey, you guys." I kind of.
I thought that was an electric company.
I hope that they don't have like the droid yell, "Hey, you guys," just as like an on the nose, but.
Yeah, that opening sequence where that was it the girl or the boy that was on that speeder bike going down that street gave so much vibes of E.T. right there.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's gonna be a fun romp. I really do. Yep. Any final thoughts, guys?
I was gonna say if you ask the same question to maybe like a 15, 16-year-old, what Scott just mentioned, instead of E.T., it would be Stranger Things.
Yeah.
That was the other thing, too. You're right. I was kind of getting a Stranger Things vibe as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which kind of is when you watch it, you get an E.T. vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of. It all goes around. Alrighty. We're going to wrap this up. And I'll see you guys next week. We're going to be reviewing episodes 1 and 2 of Skeleton Crew. I think we're going to have to buckle in. I think this is going to be a fun ride.
Yeah. And for episode 3, I know I mentioned it to you, Stan, but I'm going to get to do Laughing Places, Who's the Boss podcast for episode 3.
Right. Yeah. I'll be looking forward to listening to that one when you're on there.
Yeah. And if you guys
review episode 3 twice.
Yeah, I'll get a heads up on what we can talk about.
There we are. Alrighty, Ken, take us away.
If you have a brilliant idea for a future edition of The Solo Show and would like to take your turn in the guest host's chair, then drop us an email at thesoloshow01@gmail.com. Tell us about your idea for a show and we'll contact you about a date and a time for you to join us. If you would just like to keep the conversation going or have a comment about a previous show, then visit us on Facebook at The Solo Show. Don't forget to join us on YouTube Monday nights at 8 p.m. Central for our live show, where we talk about, well, just about everything to do with pop culture. Like us and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll never miss a new show. All logos, songs, music, and sounds that are made by and for Disney and its affiliates are owned by the Disney Corporation and are not, nor are they intended to be owned by the Solo Show podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.